All right, you guys, coming up on the podcast today. So this popular Instagram plant has been puncturing people's eardrums. Why you might want to take it out of your apartment and Insta photos.
And I have a repressed memory, Sarah, that I really want to share and hear what you have to say about it.
I know. Big moment. All coming up on the Hey Frase podcast with Paul Warden. Pacers running. We absolutely love them. And you know what? I was just in Pacers, Paul, and they wanted everyone to know that when you come in, you don't have to be a serious runner to buy shoes from Pacers Running Store. They have 5 locations in the D.C. area. In Arlington, D.C., Alexandria. All you have to do is love to walk, to run, to get outside. So you should never be intimidated.
I love it.
Don't you love it?
I just absolutely love it.
Buy great shoes.
And you know what else, Sarah?
What?
Valentine's Day is right around the corner, so I don't want people to show up short. You know, our friends at Mervis Diamonds have everything you need, from engagement rings to jewelry, diamond studs, everything. We're having a fabulous party on February 8th at 1700 K Street Northwest. That's the DC Mervis Diamond Store. So check them out online and check us out at the party.
Oh, perfect. Oh, all right. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Here we go. Hey.
What's the phrase?
That you hear every day.
Hey, Frase.
What's the phrase that you hear every day?
Hey, Frase.
What's the phrase that you hear every day? Hey, Frase. What's the phrase that you hear? Tune in, yeah, you gotta tune in. Sarah Fraser on the mic and she about to begin. The co-host with the most, Paul Warren looking fleek. Take it from me, you should be listening.
From the nation's cat.
Pop culture at its best, no need a second guess. Separated from the rest, entertaining nonetheless. Many topics to address.
Oh my God, you guys, already a crazy morning. Welcome to the Hey Frase podcast with Paul Warden. It goes down every Wednesday. We give you a new show all about pop culture, news of the week, our crazy lives, and then we usually talk dirty.
We really do, right?
I guess. Oh my God. Over the weekend, Paul Wharton, who co-hosts the show, and it was crazy because I was just saying this to you yesterday when we talked. I was like, you have literally been on this show for coming up on 1 year.
It's 1 year.
Which is nuts that a year has gone by so fast.
What you gonna get me? You know, what is the 1 year anniversary? Nothing. What do you get for 1 year?
What do you get? Is it
It's not
silver?
a diamond. It's not
wood.
even silver. It's a wood.
Is it wood?
What? Give me a box of condoms. Magnum if you're nasty.
And we are nasty on this show.
I'll take it.
But anyway, it's hard to believe it's coming up on a year. That is crazy.
I'm really happy in this relationship.
I know. We really do have a great time.
Well, I gotta tell you, I know you're like more of a long-term relationship kind of girl. Most of my relationships have been, you know, at about 9 months, we start looking at each other kind of funny. No, really. If it hits a year.
But in business or?
No.
Just in relationships.
No, in business, they go on forever. Like I've been dealing with the same people forever. But in relationships, because this is kind of like a marriage. This is the closest thing I have to a work marriage, definitely.
Oh my God. That's so true. It's so crazy. Well, speaking of, oh my God, I can't wait to introduce you to this guest. But anyway, over the weekend, we were celebrating you because you really had a great milestone, and your book, Pulling It All Together, is out. It's on shelves. It's being sold at Target, Barnes & Noble. And Paul had a fabulous book signing in Tyson's Corner, and it was the best afternoon. We had so much fun. It was hysterical. And oh my God, I can't even tell you. Some of the people at your event were unbelievable, including your mom's neighbor who listens to this show, Shireen, and then came over to me at one point, and I actually thought she was going to bitch me out.
Okay.
And she was like, "Can I talk to you?" And I was like, "Sure." And she's this very attractive woman, and she's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like,
Where do you want to begin? I mean, you're gonna take me for a drink? I mean, set the scene. Have I been drinking?
And she's like, "No, really." She's like, "The show, like you ask the craziest questions." She's like, "You guys talk about the most insane thing." And she goes, "Why would you ask Paul if he shaves his butthole?" And I was like, "What? I don't even remember. I don't even remember asking you that." I guess
you asked
did.
me if I was into anal bleaching, I think.
Oh, maybe that was it. Was it. But anyway, shout out to Shireen, and you had a lot of great friends and guests there.
Shout out to Shireen, and shout out to everybody that came to that book signing. You know, as a first-time author, you really are just anxious. You don't know if anybody's going to show up.
Right. Yeah,
and
I bet.
To walk in that store and hear those cheers, and thank you to our colleague Sean Yancey, She's our anchor
Oh, yeah.
at Fox 5 and my good friend. And she moderated that day. And to Wanda Durant, Kevin Durant's mom, the real
my God.
MVP. She's
Which,
awesome.
all I can tell you this is why I love hanging out with you. Of course, you're a good person, but you're friends. So Wanda Durant, Kevin Durant's mother, the NBA star, right? She walks into this party and she has the Yves Saint Laurent boots on that like every celebrity have that are all in Swarovski crystals or something that are $10,000 a pair. I have never wanted to kiss someone's feet so much. I was like, oh my God, girl, the fact that you walked in here with $10,000 YSL boots, I was so jealous.
I love her so much. She is such a
looks
good
amazing.
friend. You know what I was shocked to hear from her?
What?
You remember when she got up on the mic and she said, you know, when I first moved here and I was, you know, checking out the social scene, I was intimidated to talk to you. This is some woman wearing $10,000 Yves Saint Laurent boots whose son is like a major star in the NBA telling me she was intimidated. Did you hear?
But you know what's funny is I actually think that was like it was kind of this weird theme because now I know you and like I don't think that you're at all intimidating, but I think people feel that way about you because you are so pulled together, which is actually why your book's name is Perfect. But seriously, I think you give off that vibe. You know what I mean? You carry yourself well, you're well put together, you always look like $1 million. So I think there's a level of intimidation.
Wow. Well, I had no idea.
You know, you're very recognizable.
I'm just trying to have a good time. And she's like saying that, but just the love that we shared and all the new people that I met, so awesome. And today I open up the Washington Post and there's an amazing spread. Okay, so you guys know in my book I talked about this when I went to Grey Gardens.
Yes, we remember the trip. We followed it on your Instagram.
Exactly. So the Post, today's Washington Post, you can either get it online or in the Post. And it says, Grey Gardens guest star Paul Wharton. So it's this full story about me going to Grey Gardens and finishing my book there and being Sally Quinn's final house guest. It's so dramatic and the picture is so big and glorious. Look, my picture's like 1,000 times bigger than Kid Rock.
Well, the best part about this style section is you are literally you're next to some of my favorite people, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And also Kid Rock, who I actually love. I know, which is terrible. I would really hate fuck him. Like, it's awful. Because he's so conservative and he's racist. He's terrible. But
he's
something attractive about him.
That's why I'm glad my picture's bigger than his. But if you haven't gotten my book, hey, check it out online on Amazon and on Barnes & Noble. Save your receipt and send it into contest@pullingitalltogether.com because you will be entered into a contest for the Great Mervis Diamond Earring Giveaway. And we are announcing the winner at our event at Mervis on February 8th. So definitely do that.
Oh my God.
So thankful.
Perfect. We cannot wait to see you.
Yeah.
Look, we have so much to talk about on the podcast coming up. I really want to get your thoughts on the mom who makes her 7-year-old daughter pay rent.
Okay.
If you think that's true. Actually, I think the daughter is 5. It's not even 7. This kid is like 5. Can you like speak at 5 years old?
But she's making her pay rent out of her allowance, right?
Yeah, but still. This mom this week caused a lot of controversy. I want to hear what you have to say about that. Also, yes or no, do you think that giving any sort of negative, not even really negative, but criticism to a coworker ever works? Do you ever think they take it and actually improve?
I don't give criticism to people unless they ask me and really insist that I give them some kind of criticism. For the most part, unless they work for me. And if they work for me, they're hearing it all day long. They are.
The Razzie Awards have also been announced. And then in light of everything that's happening with Me Too, there's a new guide out for how men can talk dirty in the bedroom without sounding creepy. Oh, God. And I think you'll be perfect to weigh in on this.
I think it'd be great.
Do you do dirty talk in bed?
Hell yeah. I do dirty talk on text in the bed. And this one time, this guy was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to share this. I'm going to tell everybody. I'm like, good. I need a good scandal. I'm trying to sell a fucking book. You know what? I'll give you the names and contact numbers where to send it to. Send it to the Post. Send it to the New York Times. Tell fucking everybody. In fact, how about this for a dick pic? I mean, no, really. I need a good scandal. By the way, a lot of people have reached out over social media. You guys can always email us at sarah@heyfrase.com. It's paulwhartonstyle@yahoo.com. But a lot of people want to know what the update is with Chuck and if Renzo is off the scene. Because a lot of people said, in light of Chuck. What did they say, Sarah? What did they say?
Well, they just basically said that now that Chuck is on the scene, regardless of what happens there, that you need to get rid of Renzo. That Renzo just seemed like he wasn't very good to you, and the things that he said to you were not polite. And people want to know, like, is there a chance that Chuck, because we know that Chuck is in this open relationship, but is there a chance that you and Chuck could ever be together?
Well, this is so crazy. I didn't know you were going to bring this up.
Paul's face is like, he's like, is there a chance?
Well, I'm looking at you because I thought that we were gonna, like, the Chuck talk wasn't gonna happen today, but I'm happy that it is. He'll be happy that it is, I think, because, you know, he listens now.
Oh, I know.
Chuck's a big listener.
Well, a lot of people were fans after that story.
Well, let me tell you what I learned about Renzo in this whole experience, and having Chuck say what he said, and I really appreciate what he said in terms of, God, any person that would tell you need to lose all this weight is a total asshole. What I realized about Renzo when I confronted him with that long text is that we do have cultural and language issues.
Okay.
Do you know?
Okay.
I don't believe that after speaking to him about it, that he did it maliciously. It's just how he is, and who he is as an Italian man that lives in Brussels and blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
You know, he doesn't really talk the way that we do. Because there's a lot of things I say to him that he has no idea what the fuck I'm talking about.
Got it.
At all. So, you know, Renzo and Chuck are both long shots, you know, when you really think about it. Because someone in an open relationship, that would mean I'd never be, you know, in the top spot. You'd never be
exclusive, yeah.
So I think it's for a good time and not necessarily a long time. But I do think that Chuck and I will have a good time, a good time for a while, and then we'll turn into really good friends at some point. And I think the friendship will stick for a lifetime. I really do.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that seems like you kind of sorted it all out then in a week.
I think it's really good.
Because last week, you know, you were like hot and heavy, and maybe you guys were going to see each other again, but now it seems like you've got some perspective. And...
No, we're definitely going to see each other again, and we're having a great time, and we talk every day, and we text every day. And, but, you know, I think Renzo can also be a good friend. Whether or not we end up being in a long-term relationship or not is you know, yet to be determined. But he does want to move here next week.
I know,
next
that's
year.
Crazy. Next week. That'd be amazing. Get him in here. Get him.
His idea of being romantic was hanging the Constitution of the United States on the wall. On the wall in his house, in his country house in Rome, so I feel more at home.
Okay,
I'm
sure.
like, hang a picture of me and Patti LaBelle on the wall. That'll make me feel at home. But the Constitution, shit, who the fuck you think you're dealing with?
Oh my God. Well, look, I have to tell you though, I have a small bone to pick with you after your book signing.
What happened?
You have been withholding perhaps the love of my life. Okay. I am ready. Leslie, you've got to bring him in here. Leslie's our intern, by the way. We have two awesome interns, Leslie and AJ. So at Paul's book signing, there was a man who is so unique and like true character. Oh my God. Rick The Rula. Oh my God. I am so in love with you. I am so in love with you. Sit down, Rick. You're going to be right on this microphone. This is completely...
Hey, Rick.
We are...
Hey,
how are you? Oh my God.
Oh, get down here, Rick. Okay, Rick
to be here.
The Rula. Oh my God, you are a DC legend. First of all, I was saying to Paul, because you were Paul's driver at one point. You had like a limo service, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and you walk into Paul's book signing on Saturday. You're wearing a cowboy hat,
Yup.
a all the way to the floor leopard jacket that was to die for, riding chaps,
Correct.
He's
cowboy
like,
boots
That's
with the
me. Yes.
True that.
with the
Trying
spurs
to keep
on.
up with Paul.
I love it.
That's
I
the
love it.
passion guy.
I love it.
I fell in love with you because let me tell you, for people, we have listeners
And are
that.
you? Because your spirit is so powerful and strong.
Oh my God. So we have listeners all over the country and all over the world, right? But in Washington, D.C., Rick, you can answer this. In Rick The Rula is your name, and we're always going to refer to you as that. It's amazing. And Paul can say this.
Rhyme with me.
But there aren't really people that like dress unique here in DC.
Right.
Wouldn't you say that like everybody's very conservatively dressed? Everyone works on the Hill or they work for government. They never have like flair and character.
That's true.
So when I saw you, I was like, where is this guy from? I need to be with you. And then your your production partner, Marna, had a
Myrna Sparks.
she was amazing.
All day in the paint. Myrna.
Had a coat, a fur coat that went all the way to the ground. I was like, I've died. Marna, can I try this on? And then you and I took a bunch
Oh,
of
that was
pictures.
Myrna's coat that you
Yeah.
tried on.
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
Oh my God. But Rick, I didn't even, here's the thing. We wanted to have you on the show today because we do a lot of live podcast show appearances and we really feel like we need a greeter.
Yes.
And we really want you to bring it with all of your flair And
Part of the team. Be part of the team.
It
Yes.
would be an honor. In fact, I was so taken aback the way you received me when I met you on Saturday. And I wasn't expecting anything except to support my good friend Paul.
Wow.
He's a phenomenal gentleman. There's really no words to explain how great this guy is. And I have a lot of respect and love for this brother. So I had to come. But I didn't expect anything to come out except to buy his book, have him sign it, say something nice in it to me, and just rekindle, the relationship that we had because we lost touch for a moment.
Yeah. I loved having you there. As soon as I saw you, you can't forget him.
Oh my God, you cannot forget this man.
When you see him once, you can't forget. What are some of your memories of us back in the day?
Oh, man, back in the day. Do you remember, Paul, when we went to that big, huge mansion? It was way out.
Yeah, that was in Gambrels.
Gambrels, Maryland.
Was it Gambrels? Yeah.
Gambrels, Maryland. And we was in this huge place, and we were discussing business, of course, and some events that were coming up. And I think that's where the initial contact of us chauffeuring you around. And what really made me feel so welcomed by Paul is that anytime somebody trusts you with their mom,
Yeah.
then you know you in the house.
Yes.
Because we even picked up Paul's mom before. So,
That's amazing. Yeah. Mama Warden, you cannot. That is
exactly.
amazing.
Well, let me tell you
Exactly.
something. So, yes, he drove me, but at the same time, we also became friends because
Yes.
we would ride in the big limousine,
Yep.
but then sometimes I'd be in the back of his Eldorado.
Sure
honey.
would. That's right, the old
Her
classic.
be in the front.
Yes,
She had her
yes.
hand out the window. I'd be in the back straight
Paul,
chilling.
you just made me remember that. I had totally forgot that.
The Eldorado.
Now let me give a little history on that Eldorado, if I may. It's a 1978 Cadillac
Do you still have it?
Eldorado. Yes, I still do.
That's our
white
car.
on white.
Yes.
Gangster white wall tires.
Oh, yes.
Fifth wheel on the back, and it's almost the same car that was in the movie called Superfly.
Yes.
Oh my God. Where did we get? Did you drive this here today?
No, I didn't drive today, but I will in the future.
Yes, you will.
This is
we
all
need to
right.
roll up to our show in that.
Yeah, I need to roll up
Yeah.
and show in
I
that.
actually
Yeah.
God.
like that car more than the limousine.
All right,
I was
man.
like, pick me up in the Eldorado.
Yeah.
They said, are you sure you want to sit in the back? So we would move the seat up, and I would climb in the back of the Eldorado
Yeah.
and go about my business.
Sure
and we
enough.
go to the studio, and I shoot
Real
my
talk.
show.
Yeah.
Rick,
Real talk.
seriously, and you are born and raised DC. You grew up on the
DC native.
Southwest
Yep.
waterfront.
Yeah.
You just are so unique because you really don't find people that are just so genuine and true DC born and raised people. So I feel like we need to. We're Paul and I were talking. I was telling you this, Rick. Like we want to come up with this segment for you on the show because I feel like you're just a wealth of knowledge. I don't know. What's your dating life like? Are you married? Am I hitting on a married
Well,
man?
Myrna, you and Myrna are together,
Me and
right?
Myrna, we cool. We got a relationship
Oh,
that's been going for like close to 10 years now.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
his. So we ain't going to fix him up
Look,
now. Myrna
I tell you something else.
Snatch your wig. Hold on,
Look,
girl.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. Look, see, I have some style and some flair, but at times I kind of lay back and just observe. Myrna is kind of really laid back. So the few times we
Yes.
picked Paul up, he was real cool. So then one day he finally said, "Excuse me, are y'all an item?" Hey, me and Myrna and I, we cracked up. We didn't crack up when he said it, but when we got to
But
ourselves,
afterwards-
we bust out.
Yeah, they were acting like, oh, my business partner, my business partner, my business, this is my business partner, my business. I was like, It's funny, y'all. We in a two-door Eldorado. I'm in the back. Y'all must be together.
Oh my God,
I'll
Rick.
never forget that.
You are terrific. Seriously. You are just, we're going to roll up in that Eldorado for all of our shows. You're a greeter. You're a bodyguard.
No doubt about it. So yes, definitely, we need to plan the next live show.
And I'm getting
February
you like
8th, we want people to meet you at our event
Yes.
at Mervis Diamond Importers.
Yes.
February 8th, 1700 K Street, 5 o'clock. If you can be there, we'd love to have you,
You
there
think
as
I
our
won't?
special guest. You're part of the team now. You know,
I will be there.
the team has just grown by one.
Look, I'll be
has
there
grown.
early like I was today. Okay.
Right.
Oh my
And I
God.
believe in being prompt. and on
Eldorado
time.
out front.
Okay. Word.
So so you're a taken man. I'm just wondering if
Yeah.
you're good like in the dating realm, if we can ask you dating questions.
Yes, you can.
Really?
Ask me whatever you want, and I'll answer you truthfully.
Oh, no kidding. Okay, wait. So were you married before Marna?
Yeah, I was once married. I stayed married for about 15 years. And
That's
two
pretty good.
beautiful children came out of that union.
Oh,
They're all
wonderful.
grown now.
So what happened? It just didn't work out?
Well, irreconcilable differences.
Okay. Yeah, right? That's what they say. So what kind of career did you have over the years?
Well, I've always been an entrepreneur, and I attended D.C. public schools, right? And then I started off working a regular job like anybody else, right?
Okay.
At the time, my parents couldn't afford college, so I wasn't able to go to college, but I did take some business classes, like at Smith's, back in like the 80s, and late 70s, early 80s. And then I went and got a vendor's license because I saw guys on the street that was making money, stuff like that.
Okay, selling clothes?
Selling clothes, shoes and jewelry, watches, hats, scarves, whatever. And I built myself up a bankroll from there. And then I started looking for a storefront.
Okay, I can totally see that.
Yes.
You're like
Oh my God,
the version of Dapper Dan. If y'all don't know who Dapper Dan is in New York and Harlem, he just partnered with Gucci or Louis Vuitton.
I don't remember, but I know who you're talking about, and you are that person.
You're the DC Dapper Dan. So clothes, accessories, shoes. You had some fly cowboy boots on the other day.
Yeah.
So we might have to figure that out. Maybe we'll do a pop-up shop.
Seriously, you're terrific. Well, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you so much.
We're going to have you on again.
And a pleasure. And as they say in TV, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And so, check out all of our pictures on social media so you can see him in person, so you know what you are not going to miss in the future, right?
Oh, my God, absolutely. All right, Rick The Rula, thank you for stopping by.
Thank you again. God bless.
God bless is right. Oh, my God, I love Rick The Rula. I do too.
Rick.
I do too. I'm telling you, he is going to be our next. We're having him bring us to shows in the El Dorado. People are going to take pictures with Rick, and we are charging money.
I love it.
$2 a pick with Rick The Rula. You are going to want it.
Life is so interesting. Who knew that many years ago, and all those experiences with he and Myrna, that we would come back together?
Oh my God, Paul! All I can
Sarah
say.
Fraser. You are a uniter, Sarah Fraser.
I mean, I just fell in love because that's my thing about Washington is sometimes I get really depressed when I live here because nobody has like flair. When you go to New Orleans, right? When you go to New York City, when you go to LA, you see people living, especially when you go to New Orleans, almost like they just don't care. They don't care what people think. They dress eccentrically, they live eccentrically. And I love that because I think, especially in this town, we all get roped into, well, it's like you got to dress conservatively.
Absolutely.
You don't see people outside the box. And when he walked in with full spurs, I was just like, I need this man. This man has to be on our show. We've got to figure out a segment.
Absolutely.
I mean, it sounds like he and Myrna have a pretty stable relationship. So I don't know if he should be our love advisor, but maybe
she's
he can
cool too. She's like,
I know. I was like, Myrna, can I borrow your boyfriend? She's like, oh, it's cool. It's just my business partner.
She is so cool. She's been saying that for years. She's been saying that for years.
Husband.
But isn't it true that the more authentic you are in terms of your dress, your look, like that's who he is. He's not trying to fit into anybody's standards. Definitely not a DC.
Definitely
situation.
not a DC. And I love his story, and he didn't get into it because it is a long one. And over a period of time, we'll kind of reveal it. But, he grew up Southwest Waterfront in Washington, D.C. and, knew that back in the 50s and the 60s when that was a predominantly African-American community and what it was like. And it was very affluent at the time. And then, the government kind of came in and started moving people out and gentrification. And, then when D.C. went through a hard time in the 80s, it became this really crime-ridden neighborhood. So he has just I love that history, of like, and he's made a great career in life for himself.
Fantastic.
And stayed here. So anyway, you guys can check out our social media. It's at Hey Frase and then Paul Wharton and Paul Wharton Style on Instagram. Is it Paul Wharton Style on Instagram?
It's Paul Wharton Style on Instagram and Paul Wharton on Twitter.
Cool. We'll post pictures of Rick the Rula. Our friend Omarosa, I feel like every week we get to give an update on Omarosa. Paul, do you believe this? TMZ is reporting that she is planning a $500,000 nationwide speaking tour with $50,000 a speech. You think she's going to get that money?
I think she'll get something.
I guess. She's planning 10 appearances over the next 3 months.
I hope she gets that money. I hope everybody gets what they want.
Since it's Black History Month coming up and Women's History Month, Omarosa will be in high demand, as she always has been, said Robert Walker, who is her representative. And during her stint at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, she worked as an assistant to the president and plans on apparently dishing all and talking about the inner workings of the administration.
But the only thing about this is I don't know how much she can really dish in these speaking engagements. If they're paying her the $50,000 to dish and tell it all, then what's going to be left for her book? So I don't know how much dishing is going on. I think that she will go and speak, But how much she's going to divulge, not so sure.
But I would think if you're going to, okay, 50 grand. If you're going to speak
50 grand, I want you to do a live sex show. I want you to tell me everything I ever wanted to know about you and everybody you've ever interacted with. Do you know?
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. A Georgia mom has been getting heat over the week as she has said that she's being praised but also criticized for having her 5-year-old daughter pay rent out of her allowance. You think this is a good idea? Like, I don't know. In a viral Facebook post this week, Essence Evans from Atlanta said that she makes her daughter pay household bills from her allowance. And the mom went on to basically say that she has to pay $7 in allowance. But I explained to her that in the real world, most people spend most of their paycheck on bills with little to spend on themselves.
Well, no, actually, she gets $7 in allowance.
Yes,
so
you're
how
right.
much does she have to actually spend? $1 for food and
she
what
charges
else?
$5 a week, $1 for rent, water, electricity, cable, and food. The other $2 she gets to save or do whatever she wants with. As for the $5, Evan said she's putting it into a savings account with her daughter, which her daughter will have access to when she turns 18.
I'm down with it.
That's
I'm down
pretty
with
good.
it. Because, I mean, allowance isn't an entitlement. People aren't entitled to allowance. I told you that
Wait,
story.
if you get an allowance, didn't you have to work for your allowance? Like you had to
I
do
did.
dishes
How
and
much
stuff?
is your allowance?
Yeah. Well, mine only lasted I think my mom tried it
Well,
for
you
1
had
week.
your mom's credit card, according to that guy you went to high school with.
I don't know if I ever told you this, but my mom, and my mom and I are like best friends now,
Mm-hmm.
but my mom in high school would she'd be like, she would actually pay me not to work. She'd pay me to hang out with her in the summer. She'd be
Wow.
like, you're going to go away to college someday and I'm not going to have you. So why don't you just not get a summer job and we'll just hang out and we'll drive around and buy donuts. And that's like what we did.
Wow.
That's serious. So honestly, the people in my family are shocked. They're always shocked that I have managed to make any money and save money and create a business because they really did think I would be horrible
Because
with
she
money.
really tried to break you.
Totally. She really did. She totally did.
Yeah.
And to this day, she always says to me, why don't you just move home and work for Channel 6 in Portland? I don't know why you're trying so hard.
Really?
Absolutely.
Okay, so see, allowance wasn't a thing for you. So what we had to do, my sister and I, is we had the opportunity to make $18.05 a week, okay, in our allowance. And this is like in the 80s. So
Okay.
that was a long time ago. So if we took out the trash, there was this whole checklist. Take out the trash, sweep the floor, vacuum.
Sure.
So, our parents on Friday, when my dad would come home from work, he would go through the checklist. And of course, me and Holly would get out of our pants and go, check, 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 check. We would check everything. Of course, mine would be like, you owe me 18 and 05. No, every week. I wanted all my money. So I don't see anything really wrong with that. I actually did work for that money. But I was telling you, remember I told you how I went to my friend's party in Potomac not that long ago?
I think so.
And their kids were doing the coat check?
No. Wait, I don't think Paul told us this story. No.
Okay, well, let me tell you this little story because I was really pissed off about this.
Oh.
So I went to my friend's house in Potomac.
You were going to say this is a good lesson in saving money.
I went to my friend's house in Potomac, and they're very wealthy, and I'm the godfather of one of the daughters, okay? So one of the daughters, who I'm her godfather,
Okay.
and her friend were doing the coat check. So it's a house, a $10 million house in Potomac.
Okay.
They're having a big, fabulous party. There's a lot of rich people there, and the girls put out a tip jar, okay?
Oh, this is
So
a great
of course,
story.
all the rich people feel pressured from their other rich friend to give them $20. So everybody is tipping these two little rich girls $20, and they already have everything. Do you know?
$20 a coat? That's insane.
Yeah, it's like, oh, here's 20. Oh, tell your mommy and daddy that Uncle Bobby said hi. All that bullshit that rich people do.
Oh, my God.
I'm Uncle Paul,
Would have been like,
and I'm
here's
the
$1.
godfather, and it's just like, you catch me at the wrong time. You don't want to see me.
helped.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm leaving, and the person that the party planner is like, Paul, make sure you give a tip. Make sure you put a tip in the tip jar. Paul, you're about to leave out the door. Paul, don't forget about the tip jar. And I'm like, hey, hold up. If it wasn't for me, this couple wouldn't even still be married because the mama didn't want to even talk to the daddy when she was pregnant. You know what I mean? I saved that. Okay, first of all. Secondly, I'm not about to give these two rich, slightly entitled kids, even though I love them, But if you are expecting $20 from all these motherfuckers, there was about 200 people in that house.
Holy shit. That actually is a great topic. That's a great discussion because you really do wonder, like, if you're rich, should you be sending your kids out? Because they are kind of working.
But listen, when I was a kid, I was so happy to be able to even stay for the first hour of my parents' parties. I would have done anything. I mean, I was just singing songs, pouring champagne, like I was opening the door, pulling people's car around. I didn't give a fuck. I just wanted to be there, but I would never expect anybody to give me $1.
But even if, okay, look, what would you have given money willingly and not thought anything of it if they had hired 2 people to be a coat check?
Sure. This is the thing. I don't like to be pressured when I'm going into somebody's house. First of all, I had my ID in my pocket and a couple of credit cards. I didn't have any cash.
Okay.
So if I had the cash, I would have given it. But don't be harassing me like a bill collector about some tip jar money or some kids that live in a $10 million house that fly on private planes.
Oh my
It's
God.
just like,
I love this topic.
come on.
Well, maybe they were trying to teach them, like, hey, you got to work for it. You got to work for it. You got to work this
And
party.
it wasn't the parents asking me. It was the event planner. And she got on my fucking nerves. And I was like, don't say shit else to me about these rich ass kids that need a tip to bring my coat.
My God, that's hysterical.
Sorry, I'm back.
Doctors are warning. Paul,
I've said too much.
Do you have a lot of house plants? That was a great. I love that rant. Do you have a lot of house plants?
I have a lot of flowers.
Oh, I just bought a plant stand. I'm trying to add more plants to my home. But doctors are warning that a trendy indoor plant that has been made popular on Instagram called the yucca plant
It's a bit of a surprise to us at the Royal Victorian.
Sorry. This guy is going to be talking about the yucca plant. The yucca plant looks shabby chic on a coffee table.
It does. I've seen those. My mom has that in her house.
Oh, she does? Oh my God.
She
Well,
does.
be
Okay, what's the
warned.
deal?
More people are getting stabbed in the eardrum and causing themselves serious eardrum damage. This plant is very dangerous because it grows tall and lots of people end up running into it, falling into it, and sometimes people even put it in their ear to clean their ears, according to doctors. Yes. More and more hospitals across the country are having an uptick in people coming in with eardrum injuries. These are very popular in North America, Central America, but also now they've become a houseplant with the yucca hashtag on Instagram. Tell your mom to be careful.
They're getting ear boned by a plant?
Yes.
What the fuck is that about?
And it's rupturing their eardrum. It's like impaling their eardrum.
How are you running into that little plant? I don't understand.
I think that's really odd too.
Wow.
I know you go to the movies, right? Do you like a lot of...
I love going to the movies. I like the ones where you can prop the seat back, put your feet up.
Oh my God, me too.
God,
Those are the best, right? And they serve good cocktails. Mm-hmm. I don't even know. I mean, the Oscar nominations are out today. I couldn't even tell you what really is getting all the nods, except for the Shape of Water. Did you see that one?
I didn't.
It's beautifully shot, but it's essentially just like the reversal of like Little Mermaid.
Now, which one is Helen Mirren in? Is she in that one? Which one
no.
are they talking about Helen Mirren's in?
I don't know which one that is.
Okay, sorry.
AJ's our intern. AJ, will you Google that and let us know?
I'm Googling now.
Google away. Shape of Water was kind of good, but it's just this dude that's like a mermaid, and they're doing like science experiments on him. It's just it's a really cheesy love story, but it's beautifully shot.
What about that movie Call Me By Your Name?
Haven't seen it yet. I really want to see that.
So fucking hot.
The Razzie Awards, though, are out. So here's the list of the Razzies, by the way, of course, is the worst films and worst acting performances all year long. Worst picture, the nominations are Baywatch, The Emoji Movie, 50 Shades Darker, The Mummy, and Transformers: The Last Night. I didn't see any of those films. Did you?
No.
Worst actress or actor, Katherine Heigl in Unforgettable. I did see that movie.
It looked like a straight-to-TV movie, right?
It was kind of straight to
like
TV, yeah.
DVD.
Dakota Johnson in 50 Shades Darker, Jennifer Lawrence in Mother, Tyler Perry in Boo 2, Medea Halloween.
What?
This is worst actress, and Emma Watson, The Circle.
They called him an actress? What the fuck is that all about?
I guess so, because Medea's a female.
Yeah, but you don't do it for the character. You do it for the actor.
I know. I agree. Worst actor goes to Tom. Well, these are just the nominees, I should say. Tom Cruise is in The Mummy. Johnny Depp, Pirates of the Caribbean. Jamie Dornan. People really hate 50 Shades of Grey.
God, it tanks.
Zac Efron in Baywatch, and Mark Wahlberg in Daddy's Home 2.
Zac Efron? He is amazing to look at.
He is amazing to look at. Yeah, absolutely. You have any advice? In the age of Me Too, a lot of men are looking at ways to still talk dirty to women, but not be considered creepy. AJ, we'll get you on this one too, because AJ's got a young, very attractive boyfriend named
Yeah, does
Iggy.
he like you to talk dirty to him?
Yeah. And does he talk dirty to you? Because he seems like a quiet guy.
You know what? It's funny. I think we're very organic. We don't I'm scared to even talk dirty. But
Organic, aka fucking boring, lazy fucks. That's what organic means when it comes to the bedroom. We're very organic. In other words, we
The only way I talk dirty is when I'm
Lazy.
doing one of my impressions and I pretend that I'm like a Russian sex slave, and that's the only time that I'll be dirty.
Does he get hard?
I mean, yeah, I'm still with him, right?
Okay.
So, but you were explaining this. You guys are mid-sex, and you cannot just talk dirty to him. So you'll come up with a Russian accent. He doesn't find
Right.
that weird. You're just you, AJ, and then you're suddenly in
All of a sudden?
So you have to pretend to be somebody else for him to get
Russia.
off?
No, I just
Is that
can't.
what you're saying,
I can't.
AJ?
That is not what I'm saying, Polly. I can't.
Ollie.
I can't do it. I start laughing at myself. Can you take yourself seriously when you're yelling harder, daddy? I can't. I just can't.
I can't.
I know it. Sounds fun to me.
I do too. I love dirty talk, but I'm also with a very PG man who never says anything. I'm call me your dirty slut, and then
During
he starts
sex, though?
laughing.
That just sounds like a joke. I don't believe you, actually. Do you say that during
He's
sex?
calling bullshit.
Yes,
Yeah,
I always try to get him to talk dirty. And
Call
he
me your
won't.
daddy. Well, how do you say it? Not like that.
always
hope,
call
'cause
me
I
your-
just got soft. I mean, it just call me your daddy.
I'm always saying call me your dirty slut, all that. I'm always doing that.
But how do you say it though? No, really.
I'm like, Dan, call me your dirty little slut.
Call me a dirty little slut. Don't you say it like that? More,
Babe, you like it
more
like
breathy.
this.
More
Yeah.
breathy. A little
And
bit
he
more
doesn't
breathy.
respond. I'm like, okay,
Do
you
you
need
whisper
to
it in
speak.
his ear and then let your drool roll down his neck? See, now that's hot. Oh yeah,
Just
I'm
start
back.
doing that.
Paul is back.
I'm back. He says, well, GQ has put out a guide, and now here are the ways that you can talk dirty in light that men can in Me Too, in the era of Me Too. Know that this kind of thing doesn't make her a bad feminist. So, first of all, they say it's all about respect in the bedroom, and that essentially in a healthy romantic and sexual relationship, they are consensual. They put all partners on an equal playing field. So, first, as a guy, you need to talk about talking dirty. Specifically, if you're going to talk in kink. Even more specifically, name calling in bed. So they say, as men now in the era of Me Too, you should never start in the bedroom without discussing first and just go into you slut. You should never just
You should always say, hey.
is this okay?
Is it okay?
That's so not
but you don't want to
romantic.
say. You want the element of surprise. You don't want to say what you're going to say. You want to say, "Is it okay if I kind of go there and talk dirty to you?" Sure. Or do you have any boundaries? Do you have some limits? Well, I don't know. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
Then you have to say, "Okay, where does it stop?" Hey, I got to tell you a story.
Okay, yes,
I
please
was
tell us.
in the locker room at Equinox.
Don't tell me, is it the Ritz-Carlton?
Is Equinox in the Ritz-Carlton? Is that where it is?
It's located in the same building,
Okay.
yes. But anyway, I'm in this. Okay, so you guys know I do this locker room in the back of the back of the back.
Right, right.
So the
It's
back of the back of the back
exclusive.
is the executive locker room. So you have all these interesting conversations with these guys. So this one white guy who has a locker there, like me, and pays all
Yeah.
that freaking money, gave his friend the code to get in.
Okay.
So the guy comes into the executive locker room, but he doesn't have a locker. So he takes off all his clothes and he puts them in it, and he's like in my way. Okay, that's the problem. But he's kind of in my way, but I'm being real cool about it because, he was cute. So he throws his whole gym bag on top of all the lockers out of the way. So I'm thinking, now this is my dilemma. Should I say something about this or just be cool? I decided to just be cool, but I'm wondering if I had a black friend in there doing the same thing, would all those stodgy old white guys do the same thing? But they let my black friend take off their shit and throw their gym bag on top of all the lockers.
I don't know. That's
and
a
not
good
pay
question.
those exorbitant gym fees to be in the back of the back of the back. Okay? That's the code on the wall.
I
you
don't know.
all.
What do you think? You think that they would say something?
Well, there's a part of me that's kind of like, that's interesting. How far do I want to let this go? Because I feel like, he feels like he can get back in here because he's got the look, but he doesn't have the locker.
See, here's what I will say about older rich men is they seem just crotchety no matter who it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I sort of feel like they wouldn't even care that this guy, what color he was. It would just be like if he's not behaving in the way that they feel as the Equinox back dressing room deserves, that they're
Right.
going to say something. Did anyone else see it or just you?
No, there was another guy on the other side. He saw it too, but I mean, it's not something that I haven't said anything about it, and I don't think I will. Interestingly enough, after
don't
my
know, that'd be-
workout, if he gets on my nerves or ever gets in my way again, I'm blabbing. But anyway, after my workout, I go and sit in front of the TV in the lounge area in the locker room, and I'm trying to get myself together and eat an apple. And the guy comes over with
Okay.
the locker. And on the news, on the TV right there is the Aziz Ansari story.
Oh,
So he's like, are you
yes.
talking about Aziz? And I said, yeah. I said, what do you think about that? Me and this guy got into this amazing conversation, but then he went left because he says, he was right on point with me about, how we felt about it and all of that. It all made sense. But then he said, the thing about men and women is most women have a rape fantasy.
Oh, interesting.
And he was just being very matter of fact. He was like, they want to be dominated and they actually have a rape fantasy. And I was like, oh.
Our interns are shaking their heads.
I was like,
Absolutely
I may have
not.
to tell on you now because I know you don't have a locker. You're really not supposed to be back. Security. No, but he kind of went left. Now, he made all these valid points to that point.
I think that there are a lot of women that do have that fantasy, that have not experienced sexual trauma. But I would say, surveying our audience here, I don't think these women, you're not into it, are you, AJ?
I don't think so.
Do you have any girlfriends that are?
No, I only met one girl that was
AJ, you haven't been
that
around.
was dominated.
Okay, you're right. So there's a version of it. Maybe not rape, but there's something. If you go on Pornhub and put
Right.
in rape fantasy, like a trillion fucking
But
videos
wait,
pop
what
up.
does that have to do with the Aziz thing? This guy was using that to justify the way that Aziz
Well, he's
treated that
saying
woman?
women don't want to acknowledge being sluts. So the woman pursued him. She went on the date with him. She went to his apartment. She wouldn't leave no matter how uncomfortable she felt because, she wanted a second date. But she didn't want, when he was going right
God,
for it,
okay.
she didn't want to be like, yeah, let's fuck right now. I know it's only been 20 minutes since we've been back. And I agreed with him on a lot of those points until he said, women want this rape fantasy. Now, I do believe that some women like it rough or they like, quote unquote, a real man, or they like a man to, quote unquote, take control. And we've all heard that.
Yeah, I think that's true. I
Right?
think that everybody is different, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's still a stigma around slut, I guess, but my personal opinion about that story is that woman probably knew the writer of it at babe.net, and they were like, hey, this is a story because it's about Aziz Ansari. Let's cash in on this. And I think at the end of the day, it was just a bad date.
So what do you think about him not showing up to the SAG Awards?
I think that's just strategy of letting it die down. Don't you think that's just
Yeah.
PR people going, hey, you know
I
what?
think it's a shame. I would own it. I would get out there.
I would own it too because I think there's a lot of people on Aziz Ansari's side,
Absolutely.
but I'm sure
Me being one of them. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
ladies.
we are. And actually, that brings us to the Monique discussion about pay equality, which was big too. But I'll end it with this. GQ also says, which this part was kind of odd, but essentially, after you have a mutual conversation about talking dirty, the biggest thing that women need is security. So after you call her a slut in the bedroom or you're using other words, everyone needs to feel that they are safe and secure. So during sex or after sex, cuddling is very important. She knows intellectually that you think highly of her, and she knows that the dirty talk was part of hot consensual sex, but sex, especially sex that's emotionally or physically intense, is best followed with snuggling and reassurance of feelings. Would that make you guys, ladies, that make you feel better? Like if Iggy just called you like a dirty pussy eating slut, and then he was like, well, give me a hug.
A pussy eating slut? So where's the third? Where's the other bitch?
Right, where's the threesome? We're in an orgy right now.
He's like, wait a minute. Would that cause more problems? Because that would be good.
No, I think it's always better if you, you
Where's
give
the
like a
other
kiss
bitch?
and you're romantic at the end. Right.
You know what I think? This might be a bit of a bombshell, and this is totally off. Well, it's not totally off subject, but I ran across this movie about Kevin Clash on Netflix the other day. I was looking for the Joan Rivers movie, A Piece of Work.
Yep. I've seen this movie, by the way, with Kevin. Yeah.
So it recommended a movie about Kevin Clash. So for you all that don't know, Kevin Clash is the puppeteer who did Tickle Me Elmo. He created it. He was the voice in the movement for it for all those years. He was hired by Jim Henson to work with Sesame Street. So anyway, he was my first male sexual experience when I was 19. I think he was like 36. And I found out that he was married about 6 months later through the People magazine.
I know, which was so crazy. And he had a photo in his house of his daughter,
He
right?
had
Who
a photo
claimed
in
was
his house,
niece.
and he said it was his niece, and she was the same age as my niece. And
He's
I'm like,
a
oh my
mess.
God, we're two gay uncles. This is great. I never thought that guys did that. But let me tell you the crazy thing that happened. I click on this documentary. I start watching it for about 3 minutes, and I get sick.
Physically ill.
Physically ill. I start to feel like I'm going to throw up.
Because it's a whole like fake life of what he was really living.
So then I stop the movie and I stand up and I'm like, wait, what was that? That was weird. And I start to replay what happened when I first met this man. And you know what I realized? He actually did force himself on me because I didn't want to have like, oh, this is deep, but I didn't want to have sex.
Really? Oh,
But
I thought you did. Oh my God,
No,
this is like a crazy.
I didn't, because one thing I tell you, if you remember what I said, I met him at this bar. He sent his friend over to ask me if I wanted a drink, if he could buy me a drink. I was with my gay uncle. I ordered an amaretto sour. You know, that was like the only drink I knew how to order. And then my uncle ended up leaving me with the guy. And then we went to eat afterwards at a restaurant called Tiffany's. We were in the West Village of New York. And then when we were on the way in a cab to his house, which I had never held a man's hand, I had never kissed a man or anything by 19. Anything.
Wow.
I hadn't done anything. So on the way home, he
Wow,
said,
that's a crazy. You went from 0 to 100.
listen, but I thought I was going from 0 to 45, like within the speed limit, because on the way up there, he says, listen, I hope you don't mind. I sleep in the nude, but I can give you something to wear. So my mind is bugging out thinking, oh my God, I'm going to see a naked man. That's all I thought it was. That's all I thought it was. But the difference between me and the Aziz chick is I actually said no. I said no, but he forced it.
Really?
He did. And I thought that that's what it was.
Wow.
So I kind of buried that. You
Wow.
know? Because even after that, I kind of, you know, he pursued me a bit more, and I stayed in the moment of liking him because I had never shared that experience with anybody. But there was no.
Did you guys see each other again after? Did you ever have sex again after that first encounter?
You know, I don't think we did.
So you guys just like
I thought we were
or...
in a relationship after that. Because I was like in this weird, like, oh, that's my whatever. And he would call and I would call, but I don't think we ever really saw each other again because he would travel. And then a few months later, when I saw the People magazine, like that was kind of that for me.
Wow.
And that was my hard lesson in realizing that, you know, straight men do pursue gay boys or men or whatever you want to call it. But I was thinking back on that because when it started, it actually was like, it didn't feel good. It was very painful. It wasn't right. And I jumped up and ran to the corner. And I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. Like, and he was like, and he walked over without saying a word and picked me up out the corner and put me back in the bed. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. You were like assaulted.
I didn't realize I had buried it until this movie came on.
Wow.
So it does make me feel a little differently about the whole Me Too movement. It does, because I was looking at it from a distance, from the outside. But one thing that I do know that I did is I was like, no, this isn't right. I don't want to do that. No. I was in kind of a foreign place.
Right,
You know, in this penthouse apartment on 72nd Street, New York City. I didn't even live in New York City at the time. I wasn't even living there yet.
Oh my God, that's a lot to digest.
I was visiting. So yeah, that's kind of deep, but so that came up. Sometimes you do bury these things because that only came up from me watching that, and I thought it was going to be kind of crazy. Oh, let me watch and see what this fool was talking about. And it was 3 minutes in, and I got sick. I couldn't watch anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Paul, that's like a big moment. Do you feel like, I don't know, do you feel like that must be bringing up a lot for you? Like,
well, I
maybe
think
how
that,
you've had other relationships. I don't know. Or do you feel like you're over it and you're okay and you recognize?
Well, I mean, I have a mindset to get over things.
Right.
But usually I deal with them and get over them. But one thing, and this just happened like 2 days ago with me watching this movie.
Wow.
So with that, what I realized is that one I got over, but I just buried. I didn't deal with it. Yeah, so no, he definitely was on the light side aggressive, and on the severe side, I don't want to say rape, but I want to say something in the rape family.
Oh my God. Yeah. No, that was like full on assault. Now you've got me thinking, like, I want to Google him, like what he's doing now and what's ever happened. Because obviously, I mean, he's been fired from being Elmo. That was several years ago.
Well, you have to realize.
He did settlements with people.
But you do have to realize that young people that have no experience, and I spoke out about the girl that accused Russell Simmons at age 24 of taking her back to his apartment. From the time she was 17, she worked at Indochine. Okay, I'm coming from like Laurel, Maryland, okay, moving to New York City. You know, it's not the same Paul that you see now. That happened over years of living and a lot of life experiences. But this was at the very beginning. But my expectation was that I would see a naked man, not that I would even touch his penis, to be honest.
Right.
Like, I didn't even know that I would touch one. So anyway, I thought I would share that because, you know.
No, that's like a deep share.
Yeah.
And then where do you go? You know what I mean? That's like a big revelation to have.
Yeah.
And you need a therapist.
Was that? Sorry. Did I just bring everybody down? Everybody's all quiet.
No. I think that's just a big moment to have. And it's like one of those things that, I mean, always on this podcast, what's great is that you feel comfortable, that we feel comfortable sharing our lives with everyone listening. But I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that moment. And it's hard to know like what you do about it, because I'm sure everything has a reaction. You know what I'm saying? So
you know how it's affected my dating life? And I was just thinking about what you just asked me, and I had to think about that for a second. It's affected my dating life in a way because I, in my life, can probably count on one hand the number of times I've pursued someone else.
Okay,
so
got it.
in burying that, what I knew was, you know, I need to make sure that when I'm in the, you know, in the mode of pursuing someone, that they're into me, or they want whatever we're talking about. For instance, like the thing with Chuck that night.
Yes.
The thing with Chuck, he was saying, we can just lay here and watch movies. And I like pulled back. I said, okay, so is that what you want to do? You know, and he's like, oh, well, you're like, I'm fine with doing whatever you want to do. I said, no, but what do you want to do? Because see, I'm not ever in a position where somebody could say I pushed myself on them. Right.
I got what you're saying. And you've probably taken away from that experience with Kevin Clash that lesson.
That negative experience has taught me, listen, there is no in between. Like, you know, don't push yourself on someone that's just not that into you, or that wants to maybe hang out with you, because that can be their expectation. Because mine was, I'm going to see a naked man tonight. This is going to be so crazy. But there is a getting over, and I am over. Now I will go back and deal with some of those issues from way back then. But hey, I came out, I've got a book, and it's available on Amazon. No, I'm just kidding.
You definitely survive and thrive, but that was a big, you know, just a big revelation. Yeah. Now I got to watch that documentary though, because I remember seeing that documentary, and they go back to where he lived in Baltimore.
I couldn't get that far.
Okay. Yeah.
You know,
and
maybe
they go
I should watch it all the way
whole
through.
Story is like totally fake, because it was like all before he.
Was he married in the story?
Yeah, it was still all about his success, how he grew up very poor, but then he always loved puppets, which was kind of creepy, but they like encouraged it. And then of course, you know, he ends up meeting Jim Henson. Jim Henson gives him a shot, and then he creates Elmo. And then of course, Elmo becomes this just, you know, billion-dollar character. And Kevin, but that documentary was before all the drama, like before it all came out. So I think it portrays Kevin in a really good light, like how amazing he was and how he helps young people. Of course, and meanwhile, he's preying on young men.
I'll just share one more thing about that experience. I thought that he was my first boyfriend.
Sure, like love,
As fucked up as all that was, I was like, oh, that's what it is. I learned what love was later, you know?
Yes.
Through Jason Brown, through Michael McKay that I talk about from Ireland. That's when I learned what love was. But a few years later, I was at another bar. This is after I lived in New York. I think I was maybe like 21. And he tried to pick me up again and didn't even know who the fuck I was. Did I tell you this?
No, that's crazy. Kevin did again?
Kevin Clash, the same way, had a friend ask me if I wanted a drink. And I'm like, from who? And he points over, and I'm like, Kevin motherfucking Clash.
What a...
And I'm like, and I go over thinking,
oh,
he's just playing a joke. And I'm like, ha ha ha, Kevin, you know, and he's like, hi, how are you?
And
so what brings you here? And I'm like, oh, you don't even know who the fuck I am?
Fuck off, Elmo.
You hairy red motherfucker.
Well, this might be really odd.
Oh, big bulgy eye, red lip, nose motherfucker. Sorry.
This might be a really odd juxtaposed story, but how do you feel about this? This week, GQ magazine brought up the question: is it rude to have sex at a friend's house when you're the guest? Do you think it's rude? See, I read this. I was like, hell no, I don't think it's rude. If you're inviting me over. But then I thought,
I've got something to say about this.
I don't know. Then I thought, if I was a guest at Paul Wharton's apartment and I was having hot sex on your sofa, would you be upset?
I mean, if you don't mind me whacking off from the other room with my door open loudly. Wait a minute, I'm almost there, guys. Keep going. Keep going.
And this, by the way, is they're saying a guest room hookup. Guest room hookup.
Well, let me tell you, I have a story about this.
So not on someone's sofa. This is basically like you go to their house, they have an extra spare bedroom. Yeah, you can have
you're
sex.
You're a fucking adult. Get over it.
Don't you think you can have sex?
I have a friend. I'd love to get her on the podcast. Her name is Karen Williams. She's a lesbian out comic. One of the first, one of the most successful. She's fabulous. She lives in Cleveland. She's my friend. I met her because I was watching Logo. The LGBT channel, and she had a comedy special on there called I Need a Snack. And I loved her so much. She said on there she's from Cleveland. I looked her up online, found her phone number, called her. She happened to be in DC that night. I invited her over to my house, and we've been friends for 10 years. But check this out. So Karen is a bit of a ladies' woman.
Okay, sure. Okay.
So she had a person she was dating. And the woman came over to my house to hang out or whatever. And the lady ended up staying the night. Now, at the time, I was living in a converted schoolhouse. And it was a really big loft. But the walls were low walls. They didn't go all the way to the ceiling.
Got it.
You could literally ride a skateboard around in the place.
Oh, sure.
You could do all. It was huge. But I could hear what was going on in the living room or in the kitchen or in the office.
Everywhere.
Low walls. Okay. She had the woman stay the night, and the woman ate all the shrimp out of my Chinese food, and I was fucking pissed off. So I was mad about the shrimp that she ate out of my shrimp and mixed vegetables. I'm like, so you gonna pick all the shrimp out of my shrimp and mixed vegetables? Anyway, to make a long story short, years later, I met this guy in Cleveland named Dan, and he's lovely, and he's wonderful. And just a friend, though.
Right. Okay.
And when I go to Cleveland, sometimes we'll go out and have a nice dinner, and we have no strings attached, safe sex.
All fun.
It's just that, it's all safe. It's all all that. It's just you leave. I say, bye, Dan. I wave you out. It's over. But one time, Karen was out of town, and I was staying at her house, and I had Dan over. But I asked her.
Oh, well, then you're all good.
No, wait a minute. So after the fact, she's like, I don't know, Paul. I just don't know about the energy of having two men having sex in my house. It just really didn't make me feel comfortable. And this is one of my closest friends. And I'm like, you motherfucking lesbian bitch. Are you fucking kidding me? You forget about that shrimp-eating bitch that ate all my motherfucking shrimp that was sleeping in my house. Who knows what y'all was doing in my living room? All I heard was, oh. And I'm like, okay, worth the Ambien. No, but it didn't bother me, but it does bother people.
Well, okay, then according to this article, there's a general rule of thumb, and this woman, your friend, should have been down with it. You didn't do anything wrong. And essentially, the article says that the rule of thumb is if you would talk to your host about having sex, then it's not disrespectful to hook up in their guest room. If you don't talk to your parents about sex stuff, then no, you don't get to have sex in their home unless you really have some pent-up resentment and you're actually looking to disrespect them a bit. So that's the rule of thumb that they say. You think that's true? And if that's true, then you and your friend did talk about it.
Listen, if you feel like you can have somebody rolling up in my house, and they were on my pull-out couch, by the way, then I should be able to, when you're out of town, and I was in town.
Yes.
And she was out of town.
She wasn't even there.
I'm forwarding her this article.
Forward her that article.
It's coming your way, and you can come on the podcast and give us your take.
Please, I would love to hear that. A couple more stories here before we wrap up. There's a great New Yorker article about improving ourselves to death. The self-help gurus and their critics, what they reveal about our times. Do you feel like we are in this phase? Because essentially the article says that self-help is still so prevalent and like it's such a huge business. Are you self-help to death? Do you think?
No, I think my book is self-help, pulling it all together. Essential style advice on being beautiful, confident, most of all happy. I think it's great.
Oh boy, you're not going to like this article.
Okay. Well, it's about what I believe. I don't care what this bitch says. No, I'm just kidding.
The article goes on to basically talk about how essentially more and more people are feeling overwhelmed and stressed out by the self-help craze. And that now we record everything. We track our calories in and out. We track our sleep. We track our heart rate. We track our blood pressure. Like it's become so much that there's now this wave of basically books coming out that's like, fuck it, just be yourself. Stop trying to overachieve because it causes so much stress to people. You think there's any truth to that?
That's bullshit.
You do?
I think people are stressed out about the state of the world. They're stressed out about politics. They're stressed out about the government shutting down. They're stressed out about the divide between black, white, between gay and straight, between young and old. And I think any news article, any book, any show, Super Soul Sunday, any book like mine, anything that we're putting out into the universe to try to help people feel better about themselves in these dark, bleak ass days, I think is a good thing. So she can go lick my non-bleached ass.
You're on a roll today. Alexander Schwartz is her name, and the article is Improving Ourselves to Death, and she talks about the backlash that is happening. I mean, of course, I want your book to sell, and I love your book, and the heart of it is how to be happy, so it's not really about... I mean, it is about self-improvement, but not just that. And I think she does have a little bit of a point. Like, I think we are self-helped to death. Like, always. Because what she's saying is the self-help culture promotes a culture of you're never good enough. So we're always trying to improve. Like, maybe you do really well in your career, but then you're constantly like, being inundated with, well, self-care and time for yourself and this and that. And so she's just saying that you never, with this craze... you're constantly on the wheel, the rat race wheel.
Well, and not to over talk about my book, but it is, our podcast, so I'll do what I want. But, there are a lot of good style guides out there, okay? People talk about clothes and exercise and makeup and hair, and I cover all that in my book. But I do it from a perspective of helping you feel more confident about yourself through all of those things. So any tidbit, and I tell people when they get my book, open it up to any page and find what resonates for you. You don't have to read it from cover to cover and commit yourself to it. Anything that I look at, articles, other books, I have tons of quote unquote self-help books. I don't commit them to memory like a religion or follow them like a religion.
Sure.
But there's certain things that I feel like may help me be a better person.
Sure.
May help my experience be a bit more happy along my journey.
Yep.
Then I'm good with that. So I just don't see downing self-help. And one thing I said at my book signing the other day is I think that the kind of culture of bullies has taken over. Okay. So bullies like you to feel small. They don't want you to be better than you were yesterday, last month, or the year before. They're very uncomfortable with you saying, I love myself. I love the way I am on the inside. You know what? And fuck it, the outside too. Do you know what I mean? So anything that will make you feel better about yourself, I say, hey, go with it. And if it doesn't work for you, then pass it along to somebody else.
That I think is helpful. I think the problem with the self-help thing is a lot of these books, they were analyzing The Secret. Remember when that book was huge about 10 years ago? Yeah. The Secret was kind of like, if you want a man, just clean out half your closet, he'll appear. Like what you put out there.
I don't know if it said that, Sarah.
It did. Honest to God,
if
yes.
You want a man. No, it's basically...
The Secret did. That was the whole thing. It was like just kind of think it into existence. So people are basically saying that, that's my thing is like the self-help thing is just, I don't diet. I don't do any of that shit because it's even, I think people feel like once they get to a certain weight or once they look a certain way that suddenly things are going to be better for them. And it's just not how life works.
But I don't think that that's self-help. I think you're using painting a broad brush saying self-help and you're talking about, a diet book or something making you feel like you should look a certain way or be a certain way. No, self-help means, to me, anything that will improve your outlook on life. And sometimes if it has to do with your look, fine, your look, that's okay too. You want to look better? Great. You want to feel better? Fan-fucking-tastic. And if that falls under self-help, like your other podcast, Mindful Living, that's self-help.
Yeah, it is in this. I try to tell people what's worked for me, but I'm like you. I mean, I never want people to feel stressed. Like, you have to pick and choose. There's no size that fits everybody. You know, no size fits none is like my new favorite slogan, because what works for somebody doesn't work for someone else. But I think what's happened is, like, you get books like The 4-Hour Work Week and all that stuff. And then you think, oh, well, I can, like, if I just do this, I'm going to be famous or successful like Tim Ferriss, or I'm going to be successful like this guru. And it doesn't really work like that. It worked like that for them. And there's some tips that you could take away, but I think that's basically what you're saying.
Well, I'm telling you what absolutely doesn't work. Doing fucking nothing. Not reaching out for any bit of inspiration. Not helping yourself to be better. Let me tell you what's not gonna work. Let me tell you what's gonna keep you right where you are, doing the same shit, being mad about the same old job, being lonely, don't got nobody to fuck, you know, your skin ain't looking good. You know what you do? Don't help yourself. There you go. And on that note, let's wrap this motherfucker up.
Wow, you're on one today. Well, we didn't get a chance. I wanted to talk a little bit about Monique to see what you thought about that whole thing.
Talk about her.
All right, well, here, I did a little video that was up on my YouTube page, which is under Hey Frase. So you can go and look at that. This is about Monique. Anyway, but you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to ask you, because it sparked a lot of conversation, and then it went into race, which
I watched your video, by the way. I loved it.
Oh, good. Thank you. Well, essentially, what I was saying is, over the weekend, there was a lot of talk because Monique, the comedian, the actress, came out. Probably everyone that listens to this podcast knows this story now, but she essentially said that Netflix only offered her $500,000 for a comedy special, while they offered Amy Schumer, Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock north of $10 million, like huge amounts. And she's saying people should boycott because of gender pay discrepancy. And so I was like, but Monique, you're not nearly as famous as those three comedians. And not only that, you just haven't kept yourself as relevant. And I feel like that's what Hollywood is, right? You're only as good as your last hit. It's all about your social media numbers, your box office numbers, which hers aren't anywhere near Amy Schumer's. So my question to you is, but anyway, a lot of people brought into that, and Monique has had a history in the past of being incredibly difficult to work with. Mm-hmm. And Lee Daniels told her that she was boycotted from Hollywood because when she was doing her Oscar run, she wanted to get paid to go to the Golden Globes, all that stuff, which doesn't happen. Like, those awards, you're supposed to basically go on a political run to get that award. So my question to you is, do you think Monique had a point? Because Wanda Sykes came out and said, look, Monique, they offer me even less. Find a different network. They're like shitty to work with. Or do you think that Monique isn't worth more than $500,000?
I don't think she had a point. I don't agree with her.
You don't?
I don't agree with her. I think she's angry. Her whole line of her whole act as a comic recently has been nothing but negativity, bashing people that she's worked with in the past. Lee Daniels, Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey. She gets up on stage, she rags them out, and her humor is fucking hate-filled. And let me tell you something else. Not all entertainers make the same amount of fucking money.
Right.
Okay. Not all hosts on TV. I do the same shit as Ryan Seacrest. Do you see me making Ryan motherfucking Seacrest money? No, I'm not there yet. Okay?
Right.
Not all executives, not all CEOs make the same amount of money. It's something to be earned and something to be negotiated. In Hollywood, when they're talking about gender pay discrepancies, that is a female lead and a male lead in the same motherfucking movie playing husband and wife that have the same amount of lines, and the male character gets twice as much as the female.
Right.
This is not you're offered something by a network and you think you should get the same shit as Amy Schumer, and then you come on a video talking about my sister Amy Schumer. Monique, sit the fuck down with all that bullshit. Like, I wouldn't hire that bitch for $100,000. No, really, I just think it's ridiculous.
Well, no, I feel better because then a lot of people got going on that, you know, I need to advocate more for black women because they make even more than white, or even less than white women in lots of cases, which I always want to be that advocate.
Well, I'll tell you what I will advocate for. Wanda Sykes should have got more than Monique.
I agree. That's
I think
the thing
she's
too.
funny. I think she's good. I think that Tiffany Haddish should get $10 or $12 million.
Exactly.
You know what? Lace her bank account out. You know why? Because she earned it. She's out there. She's doing it. Her comedy is fresh. It's not hurtful.
Right.
Monique's comedy is hurtful. As much as people say, oh, she's my sister. She's my friend. Don't hide behind no black shit with me. Okay, I'm a gay black man. Ain't nobody gave me shit.
Right.
Okay,
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you talk about that.
And let me tell you something else. The thing that I set myself up for in 2007, I was working for a network called TV One. Oh no, 2009.
Okay.
I was doing the after party, the first Democratic National Convention.
Okay.
When was that? When Barack Obama first got into office? Was that 09?
08. Wasn't it 08?
08? Okay.
I guess 09. It would have been, 08 into 09. Okay,
08,
sorry. Yeah.
08. I was in Denver. I was working for a network called TV One. It was my first live big show. It was hosted by Jackie Reed, Cheryl Underwood, who went on to
Sure.
to host The Talk.
Yep, The Talk. Okay.
She sat right next to me on the couch. I'll show you the video.
She's great too. Cheryl Underwood stay really
She's
relevant.
great. Hill Harper, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Chef G. Garvin, Marcia Dyson, who you met yesterday, and her husband, Michael Eric Dyson. All of us on a couch. Okay? It was a big show. There was a scene where I was going to an after party. I was going to one of the after parties, and they were going to film me walking out of the car to the red carpet, and then I would start my shtick.
Okay.
They sent me a stretch white limousine. I thought in my EP head, executive producer head, that was going to look real lame and cheesy and old school and played out for me to pop out of a stretch white limousine and walk up to with my big curly hair. I just like, oh, that's too much. The red from the carpet, the white from the limousine, like, ain't gonna work. But the way I delivered it seemed really difficult. Like, I was like, I'm not riding in that.
Right.
You know what? We've got an extra 30 minutes. Get me like a Cadillac Escalade or Suburban.
Right.
That's cooler. That'll
Something
look better
that looks
for the
hip.
show.
Yeah, okay.
They took it as, this motherfucker is difficult as shit. And you know what? I own that because I should have been more flexible. It really wasn't my say. Although that I thought it would make it a better show for me to pop out of a Suburban than this bullshit extra long stretch limousine with neon lights on the inside. They were like, you're holding up production and we'll never work with him again. So it's taken 10 years for them to work with me again.
Yeah.
But I did that.
Right.
You know, I did that because I wasn't flexible in that moment, and my energy and the thing that I put out to them turned them off. And I had a reputation within that network to not hire him.
I got it. No, I think you owned it. I think we've all learned and made mistakes, and we've all undervalued ourselves or overvalued ourselves or whatever. But I think you own it, and I think that's the difference. I think with her, it's never, there's no owning
She's never
that.
wrong.
Oh my God.
She's never wrong.
We just solved it right there, honest to God. All right.
Well, God, I need a drink after that.
You are on a tear.
Oh, shit.
Have you ever seen him this fired up? No, I know. What happened? Something
I'm an author now.
Something kicked in midway through show. You were like, what? You completely was like, let me tell you.
Well, that's how I talk outside of the show. I thought I'd give you some realness today, okay?
Oh my God, look, we're in love with you. Follow us on social media at Hey Frase, at Paul Wharton, at Paul Wharton Style on Instagram. Also, be sure to leave the podcast a review. Head to iTunes. Search Hey Frase. Hit 5 stars. Tell us what you love about Paul and me. We love you,
and
everybody.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Bye.
Bye.